Hello guys, welcome to NameTech channel. My name is Nehemiah Wekesa and I'm so happy to have you on board. So this one is a Django full course. Remember, Django is a Python web framework, and we are going to begin from the very basics to the advanced of Django. But guys, before we begin, please take a minute, subscribe, like and share the video to your friends actually to support the channel. And to the returning subscribers, I really appreciate you very much for your continuous support. And remember, after this course, we shall begin projects. I have around 20 projects on a full stack development just for free, guys. So the support is only by subscribing to the channel and also liking the videos. Now, guys, let's begin by first understanding what is Django. As I said, Django is a Python web framework that make it easier to create websites using Python. So Django will take care of the difficult stuff so that you can just concentrate on building your web application. And Django emphasizes reusability of components, also referred to as dry or don't repeat yourself, and comes with ready-to-use features like a login system, database connection, CRUD operation, that is create, read, update, delete. I will show you just in a few. But Django is really a very powerful tool. Like for example, if you want to extend, you have a master template that contain perhaps the header with the navigation items, the footer. So if you want to include it to other pages, you will not have to repeat the same codes. You can just extend the template and then you can use it to other pages. So Django is really nice, and this one is so helpful if you are working on a database driven website. Now, how does Django works? So Django follows the MVT design pattern, that is model, view, template. Now a model, that is the data that you want to present, usually data from a database. And then a view, this is a request handler that returns the relevant template in the content based on the request from the user. We shall talk about these views in details just in a few, but we also have a template. Now template, these are like text files, like the HTML files containing the layout of the web page with logic on how to display the data. So this one is like and this one is like just the HTML files. These are really HTML files, but contains the Django tags. They contain the Django tags. That's why we call them templates in Django. And then the model. The model, let's discuss it in details. I said the model provides data from the database. So this one is just like a table in a database. The model is just like a table in a database. So in Django, the data is delivered as an object relational mapping, that is ORM, which is a technique designed to make it easier to work with databases. So the most common way to extract data from a database is SQL, using SQL. One problem with SQL is that you have to know this language in details to understand the database structure and to be able to work with it. But with Django, with the ORM, Django ORM, it makes it easier to communicate with the database without having to write complex SQL statements. So the models are usually located in a file called models.py.python.py. I'll show you everything in practical just in a few, but first of all, let's understand this stuff. Now, the other thing is the view. View is a function or a method that takes the HTTP request, is argument, imports the relevant models, and finds out what data to send to the template and returns the final results. Now, let me try to explain this one. So, for example, if you have a link, if you want a link, for example, if you want to access, for example, the blogs page, right? So what you'll do, you'll click on the link. Now that link will send the request to, when you click on that link, then Django will send the request to the backend, actually to the backend. Now that is to the server. And then when it reaches to the backend, actually when it reaches to the view function, then we have files there like the view function to handle that request. Then it will look for the relevant template. For example, if you are looking for the blog page, then it will find the relevant template. Then it will return to the client that template so that they can be able to see the blogs page. So these files are usually located in a file called views.py. I'll show you everything just in a few. And then a template in Django is a file where you describe how the result should be presented. So templates are often .html files with the HTML code describing the layout of our page, but it can also have other files format present and other results. But in this context, we shall concentrate with the .html files. So Django uses standard HTML to describe the layout, but uses Django tags to add logics, like to display, for example, the username of someone, the first name, and all that. And the templates of an application is located in a folder called templates. Everything I'll show you just in a few. And then the URLs, these are remember URL stand for Uniform Resource Locator. So Django Django provides us with an easy way to navigate around different pages. So like for example, if I want to navigate from home page to basically to what to let's say contact page. So basically Django will provide us with a quicker way or a very easy or efficient way to navigate these pages through the URL patterns. We shall talk about the URLs also later. Like when a user requests the URL, Django decides which view it will send it to it. So this file, this urls.py file, these URLs, they are always placed at the urls.py files. Remember, these names you can change, but you need to configure everything. But the default ones are urls.py. Now, basically, how does this work? How does Django works, or how does these views, URL templates, how are they connected? So like when you have installed Django and created your first Django web application, and the browser requests the URLs, so basically this is what will happen. Django will receive the URL, and then checks the urls.py if you have that file that you are looking, or the URLs that you are looking, and that will call the views that matches the URL. Now the views which are located at the file called views.py will check for relevant models. So the models are imported from the models.py file to the views, and then the views then send data to the specified template in the template folder, and then the template containing the HTML and the Django tags, and with the data it will return the finished HTML content back to the browser. Remember, when it displays on the browser, it won't have those codes, it will just display the exact content. Remember, HTML will define the structures, including the Django tags. It will define the logic and all that. But now when it reaches to the client side or to the user, then it will be the real content, the exact content that you wanted to display. We shall discuss everything just in a few. So guys, basically it's a good practice always to place your projects in a particular directory or in a particular folder, so that you may access them quite easier. So like for me, let me place this project and the documents, and let me call it something like let me just call it something like a Django course, or whichever name you wish to give it for your project. But here the easiest way to open the command prompt in the same directory here, so that you may access so that you may place your project in a specified directory. Just click on it, then what you'll do, just here on this project, just highlight everything here. If you're using a Windows operating system, just highlight everything, then type here CMD, then it will open the command line tool at the same directory here where your project you want it to be. Otherwise, if you can't manage to do this, if you're using, for example, different operating system, just open your command line tool like a CMD somewhere, or a PowerShell, or a terminal, whichever command line, or even git bash. So any terminal, guys, it's just perfect. Just cd to your project, and then once you are in the project, then basically we can create your virtual environment. How do you create your virtual environment? And so to create your virtual environment, just say pi manage not really pi dot manage. Remember, guys, first of all, you should have a Python in your system for it to work. You need to ensure that you have a Python in your system. So how do you check if you have Python? Just type here Python or a pi, then a dash, then I just search version. Then you can see for me I have Python. I think this is the latest version, 3.11.4. So if you don't have Python, then just go to your browser, then I just type here python.org, then just download Python, and then I go to the download, then I download for your operating system, be it Windows, Mac, and other platforms. Just download it for your operating system. Then when you are downloading, ensure that you also install PIP, because that is the package manager to install even Django and other Python modules. So ensure that PIP is checked when you are installing a Python. You can see the latest version by the time I'm recording this video is 3.11.4. So what I'll do, so once everything is in place, you have Python, you have PIP, then go to your command line tool. Basically go to your project, navigate to your project. So let's say, guys, for example, you are in so let me navigate to somewhere like let me get to documents. Let me get to documents. So, guys, for example, if you have opened your command line tool, and then you want to navigate to the documents, and then to your project. So, for example, let's assume that the CMD is open at the root directory of documents here at the documents. So if you want to navigate to that project, wherever you are, guys, basically I don't know why my terminal is misbehaving, but for example, if you are here, you want to navigate to your project, so just type here cd. Let me place it somewhere. So the project is Django project. So cd, then Django project. Actually, the meaning of cd is change directory. So if you want to change directory to navigate to the Django course, just write the exact name like that, and then it will take you to the Django course directory. So while in this directory or in this folder, what you'll do, I want us to create the virtual environment. So I said that I will use a Python. You can just here type here Python or a pi. If you're using Windows operating system, just type here pi, and then a pi or a Python. Pi, either ways it will work, but I guess the good practice is just type in Python in full. Then if you want to install this virtual environment in the same directory, just type here m, and then vnv, the command to create the virtual environment, and then the virtual environment itself. For example, I can say env, or I can give it any name. So env, then I hit enter, then it will create that virtual environment for you. So you wait until it finishes. When it finishes, it will create a new line here where you can write other codes. So let's just wait for it to install everything, and then when you navigate to that section, you'll find out that you'll have that virtual environment. Like for example, if it does like this, then when you navigate to that Django course, you'll find out that you have this project. this env, and in the env we have the include, we have the lib, we have the script. So in this script we have a file called activate.bat. So if you want to use this virtual environment, you have to activate, and the command to activate it, or the file to activate it, is activate.bat. So anytime we will want to activate this virtual environment, we will use this activate.bat file. So let's get back to this Django course. Now we have the virtual environment, and we need to activate the virtual environment before we continue. So what I'll do, I'll type here. So first of all, once again, let's do cd to navigate to the env, cd, then env. It will take you to the env environment. Just type your script, then a backslash, then activate. Script activate. The file, it was activate.bat, but you can as well just say activate like that. And then guys, you can see now this virtual environment is activated, and you can see here the file is actually the virtual environment is env. That's why you can see it displayed that env. So this virtual environment is now activated. Now guys, we are going to install Django in this virtual environment. So how do you install Django? So if you want to install it in your in the current directory or in the virtual environment, what you do, just again type here pi. Now guys, I said that if you want to install it at the same directory, you have to use this command m m here. Then I said that I will use pip again, pip to install a Python packages. So you need to have this pip in your system. So pip, remember, it comes with Python. If you install Python and you ensure that pip is checked, then you have Python already in your system. So pi -m, then a pip install Django, then it will install Django in the current directory. And so guys, let's give it time to install. So guys, we have successfully installed Django in our system. And so guys, I want us to create a project so that we can begin straight away. You are at the root directory, because I want us to arrange our files here so that for virtual environment is a separate file, for project is a separate file, and all that. So once again, I'm at the root directory of this project, or this is the folder for our content where we want to place it, the content. And I guess for me repeating several times, you understand better. So let me hope I'm not wasting your time repeating the same things. And then first of all, let me just say let me activate the virtual environment by let me just say backslash, not really, let me just say env, then a backslash scripts, then a backslash again, and then let me say activate. Then the virtual environment is activated, but you are not at the env. Remember, now we are the Django course, this is the root directory for the project. Now here, what I'll do guys, let me just to create now that project. Once again, I'll say Django admin, and then start project. And then I said the project should be name tag. You can give it any name, but because I want to create something like the name list in a platform or a web app, so let it be name tag. Then for example, we'll say name tag members, the year they registered, and all that. So let me give it just name tag in lack of a proper name, but the command to create your project is Django admin space start project, then the name of the project. So this one will place it at this folder, here. This is root directory. It will place it here, but it will have another folder inside it. So first of all, let me show you how you can create this one. Then later, I'll show you how you can place everything at the root directory. So guys, you can see now we have this project, but again inside the project we have the other projects, the other stuffs. So remember, these are managed.py should also be at the root directory. So you can just move this content to the root directory. But guys, I want to show you a proper way on how you can do everything just at once. Remember, so here guys, once again, let me show you. You just say Django Admin, or let me just, or basically guys, if you want to redo, or if you want to use the command that you wrote up here, you can just use the arrow key on your keyboard pointing upward, then it will place the same project or the same command here in the current line. So now if you want to have everything on the same directory, then you'll have to use the dot. When you add the dot here at the end, then it will place your project at the root directory here. So you'll have that manage.py. Remember that manage.py is the main file that we will be using on this project. Like if you want to start the server, if you want to create application, if you want to do anything, guys, I will be using that manage.py. So having it on the root directory is quite important. So we use that that period here to add that project on the same directory, the root directory. And then now, so now guys, you can see we have what we have this file here. Now guys, basically in this course we'll be using a Visual Studio Code to code. And so how you can basically use other code editors you like a Sublime Text. We have Atom, Brackets, Dreamweaver, Notepad++, or whichever code editor you have. At what? If I want to navigate to the Visual Studio Code, I just type here code. Then this one will open the Visual Studio Code. When you just write your code, it will open the Visual Studio Code. But if I want to open the Visual Studio Code with this content, the current content here with the Django course, then I'll use the dot to open the current directory on the Visual Studio Code. So let me just do that, and then I give it time for Visual Studio Code to open. So here guys, we have this env for our virtual environment. And then we have we have this name tag here, which is our project. And then in the project we have these files, init files, the asgi file, we have settings file, then urls.py file. So this is the project setting, then this is the project url. So this we shall focus on these two files, the settings and the urls.py. Basically you can take your time and go through anything here, like so you can see it has wrote for us many other stuffs that we couldn't do it on our own. It could take forever, but you can see with Django it has done everything for us, so it's gonna be easier for us just to modify a few things here and there, but everything is sorted here. And then the urls, we have some sample files for admin and all that. Now so guys, the next thing we want to create now the application. We want to create an application. So first of all, I don't want to use now the command line tool from the other side. I want to open that. So click on these items. I guess sometimes if you have zoomed in a lot, you'll not see them, the tabs here at the top. But if you zoom out, then I will see a lot of tabs here at the top. So if it's in whichever format it is, for example, if it is this way, just click on this navigation section, then I will see there's a terminal for there's a tab for terminal. Just click on the create new terminal, click here new terminal, click on new terminal. By default, if you are on a PC, it will open with a PowerShell, but for me I like working with a CMD, so I'll click here. Then I'll change. You can see this drop down, there's a plus, then there's a drop down here pointing downward. So just click on it, then you can change here to command prompt. When you click on command prompt, then it will automatically open your virtual environment. You can see. And so here I said that if you want to run the server, you use this file manage.py. So we have now that terminal in our code. So what I'll do, just type here pi, and then that file manage.py. Remember it has a file called run server, which help us to run the server or start the server. So manage.py, and then I can say, for example, run server. All right. So let me click hit enter and see if we truly have that file. So guys, you can see now it is open at the same port number. Let me just try to open it. Let me just open this file, and then let me just first of all close this one. And then guys, you can see now the install worked successful. Congratulations. So this means that we have Django really working, and our project is working super fine. So now the next thing, guys, I want us to create what? Want us to create now the app, the application. Remember, this is a project, but we need to create an application. An application, just like you can have application on your smartphone. You have an application to handle, for example, camera, that deals just strictly for cameras. You have another application that deals with messaging. You have another application that deals with for example, WhatsApp and all that. So likewise, if you have apps in a Django project, so they might have different functionality. Like you can have the app for example, you can say, for example, if it's an e-commerce system, you can have an app for carts. You can have an app for the main content, or maybe an app for logins, for identification and all that. So we have these are what we call apps in Django. So like you can have app to display the pages and all that. So what I'll do, guys, let me just show you in code how we can do that. So first of all, let me show you how you can change the port number, guys. First of all, to break you can see now we can't write anything here. You cannot write here anything once this server is running. So if you want to break the server so that you may write your code, just use Control plus C. If you are on a PC, Control plus C. If you are on Mac, command then a C. Or just write here break, then it will break the virtual environment here. Not really virtual environment, it will break the server from running. So the server is no longer running. If you go again to refresh there on the other side, on that side, then it won't be working. Now let me show you another way to open the server in a different port. You can see by default it was port 8000, but you can as well change. For example, let's say so you can see the command is py-manage.py run server, but you can change the port. For example, let's say port something like 90, or whichever port number you wish to have. Then when you hit enter, and then it will open at that port. You can see now it is 127. Remember, this 127.0.0.1 is the alias for the local host. If you don't want to use the local host, then use this 127.0.0.1. or if you don't want this one, you can use local host, then a port. Remember, port is now the key thing here where your server will open from. So guys, when I open this one, now this one applies, for example, if you have several projects working at the same time. So you might want to have a different ports because they can't work on the same port number, or it will reject. Now this 127, I said, is the alias for localhost. So like let me just say localhost, then let me type that port number like 90. Then you'll see that it is still work. So you can see it is still work. So this localhost is the same as this 127.0.0.1. This one. So they are the same thing. There is the alias for the other one. So localhost is the alias for 127.0.0.1. And we shall talk about, perhaps in the future we shall talk about the DNS, the domain name server. And so like if you have hosted your website, all domains, for example, if you want to access for example, nametech, a good example is nametech. We usually have we usually have a long IP address or a unique number that defines your it defines your project. For example, to identify your website. So those names are usually long. Like we have a combination of four phone numbers, like you can see it is 127.0.0.1. so these are phone numbers, but sometimes you can find it is 127, for example 238, for example, and then this one instead of 0 is something like maybe 600, and then so it can be a long name. So basically the work for DNS or a domain name server, it helps you to rewrite into something that can be accessed easily. Like for example, if it's name tag, you can just know it's name tag. Then from name tag you can go, for example, to page, to another page, but writing these are 127.0.0.1 or 127 point whichever it is, those IP addresses can be long and hectic. So the work of the alias or this domain name DNS, it helps you to shorten that thing, shorten the IP address, so that you can remember the IP, the domain name should be unique, should be identical. So when you register, your domain should be unique, so that no one can access your website with that name. But now, because we are the local host, we are using local host, the port 90 at this moment. But this one is the same as, and this is the IP address 127.0.0.1, but the alias is localhost. I guess you have understood that. Now I want us to create an application. That was just by the way. So first of all, let's break the server from running with the command control plus C, or just type here break, then it will break your server. So how do you create an app? I want us to create an app. For example, this is name tag thing, but now I want us to create another one for members, name tag members, right? So I'll say now this manage.py has a command also to create the application. So we'll use Python. Remember Django is a Python framework, so you have to use here Python. Then manage.py, and then start up. Now it's not start project, it's start up. So like that, then you can give it the app name. For example, if it's members, and then when you hit enter, then it will create that app here for us. And then guys, you can see we have this extra folder here for members. And then we have remember while we were introducing Django, I talked about these views. I said this is the request handler. And then I talked about the models. Models are like tables in a database. Then I talked about what? I talked about the URLs. So let me create another file here to handle the URLs. I remember at the main project, we have a file called the URLs here at the main project. But now, for example, if you have several apps, you might want each app to have a unique URL, so have its own URL, so that you can understand everything better. So here at these URLs, let me first of all try to minimize this section. So these are URLs. We have these URLs, but now I want us to create another URLs for this app. You can see this one is just a separate application for members. For example, you have another one, for example, for other stuff. You can have different apps. So it's a good practice always to have the URLs for each app. So here for members, guys, let me just create here a file called urls.py. Remember, you can give it any name, but you have to configure it here. So urls.py, and guys, I advise you just to use the URLs, because you'll understand everything better. Now guys, once you have added that URLs here, also guys, we need to link this members app to our project. We need to link this members application to our project. How do you link it? So go to the to your project. Remember the project, for me I gave it name tag, but you can use whichever name that you use. For example, on your case you just said project, or whichever name you gave it, and then just navigate to the settings. Inside this project, then I'll go to the settings, and then you need to add here. You can just scroll down until you see the section for installed application. This installed application, and then what you do here, just include it in the list of installed apps. So it should be inside the quote, because it's a string. This is a list. You understand the Python list. We discussed Python in details. If you don't have a skill in Python, then I have a course for you. To name tag, then I go to the videos, then you'll find or I go to the playlist, then all courses, then you'll see a Python full course there. And then you'll understand how to use the list, arrays, and all that. Now here guys, I'll include these members app. So I'll just type here members, and then here at the end you add in a comma. For example, if you might want to include another one, remember parameters in a Python list are separated with a comma. So ensure that you do this, and then once you've done that, also go to the URLs and then configure it, link it to your project. So to the URLs, you can see we have these are the main URLs, and then you have some documentation here. I think it can help you as well. So guys, I think this one is not necessary because I'm focusing on the video part. Let me just delete. Now guys, if you want to include that URLs to your project, the members URL, you can see we have added these URLs, but Django doesn't understand it, so we have to include it here in the name tag project or whichever project you gave it. Then I go to that URLs, then to link it, you will say here at the top you'll add in. So Django has a module called include. Has a module called include. So this include allows you to include other content. For example, if you are URLs, if you are working on templates, this include can also help you to include other extension. For example, if you have the form, you can use this include package to your projects and all that. But in this scenario guys, I want to use this include to add here to link actually these members URL to the project. So what I do here, I say path, and then because I want it to be like the root directory, then I'll give it an empty string like this, and then comma, and then so I'll say include. Include should be include, and then inside the parentheses, and then inside the quotes you can add here. So you can say, for example, members dot urls, members.url. So it's members, and then the file is urls, so it's members.urls. Don't include that py, don't include that py. Then always ensure that at the end, remember I told you that parameters list of items in Python list are separated with comma. So when you add here a comma, you can see even the errors disappears. So so this one will be like our root directory, if it were this way. So anything that I want it to be shown on the landing page, when someone just type your domain, then at the first page that you want it to be there, then you have to give it an empty string like this, so it will be like your default landing page. So because we have linked everything here, so guys, basically I want us to go to the views. Let me now focus on this members application. So let me first of all even close these other sections so that we may focus on this one. So guys, let's go to the views function, right? So let's go to the views, and then I think by default it will have this file for you from Django.shortcuts import render, and yeah, so basically this is the first line of code that it usually have, so you don't have to delete it. Now so guys, I think by now you understand how to, I'm assuming the Django developers, they have already learned Python for you to be in a good position. So just type here to define a Python function, we use a def keyword, def keyword, and then for example, if this is the function for home, let's just call it home view like this, or let me just call it home. But now here we are passing what request. We are passing here request, and then this from the clients, for instance. Then it ends with a colon, and then so here I can say return render Remember, render is a module that we have already imported here. Then here we can render what the request, right? Request, request. We can render request. Now, guys, this is the request, but we need also to add here the template. So, guys, basically, we need to create a template like the HTML template so that we may use it. For example, if someone wants to have the want to see the home page. So guys, basically I want us to create a template folder here at the root. So let me just create now. First of all, let me get to the nametech project, and then to the settings, and then guys, let's find where there's a templates. So for example, guys, this way, when it is this way, then you have to use that template in the app. So for example, if you place the templates folder, this app, unique app that you have, then you'll not have to use this. You just place the templates, then you'll configure it. But now, guys, I want to change the directory. Or before that, guys, let me just show you this way. So here the members app, you can create a folder for templates, like let's say I guess it's just template. And now at this template, guys, I can place a file like HTML, not really, let me just call it something like index.html. Now here we can use you can change language mode here, but at the moment it's HTML. So with the HTML, it provides you Visual Studio Code. It provides you with a quickest way to create the structures of HTML document like this. Then you can give it, for example, let's say members nametech. This is the title. This one usually appear there at the tab of your project. And then let me just use a h1 pubs, and then let me say let me just call it something like nametech members app, just to test, right? Now, because we have added these members, we have added this URL here. Remember, this one is the members. It's not at the nametech. Remember, this is a project you have just lived. This is a project we use it to configure files. But now, if I want to create templates and all that, you have to add it here at the members. Now, these are the members we have. These are templates and all that. So now, to the view function, guys, again to the view function. So here we have passed the request, and then it should also return what? It should also render the file called index.html. Index.html. Should be .html like that. And then now, guys, so I think everything is now okay with the views. Now, guys, once you have linked the views, then you need to go to the URLs, and perhaps let me just copy some files from the URLs, because I don't like repeating myself a lot. So let me copy these files, then let me paste it to the URLs for the members app, from the members app. And guys, I remember, if you don't understand, you can just rewind the video and and rewatch, so that you may understand better. So we no longer need that admin, because it's at the root directory, actually for the main URL. So let me just remove it, remove also this include, so that I may just have path. And then here also let me just let me just remove everything, so that at least you may understand the codes much better. So this is the file to import the URLs. In these Django.urls, we have a path. So now here, guys, this is the URL path, and this is where you can list your URL that you have. For example, we want to have the URLs to handle the home views. So here, guys, I'll say path. Then inside these braces, I'll say, for example, because I want it to be like the root, I say let it this one just be empty, like just an empty list like this. Well, let me do this. Let me just add it a comma like this, actually the /, and then here I can say, for example, add in a comma. And then so guys, first of all, we need also to import the views. We need to import the views. So how do you import the views? You can say from members. You can say from members. Sorry, should be from members. Members. Remember these members. It is at the same directory, right? You can see. Sorry. You can see these members. It has the files, views, and also the URLs. So in future, you don't have to write here members because it is at the same directory. So you'll just be using now this dot. It says you that it is the same as the same directory. When you use that these are period, it tells you that you are defining the root or the current directory, not the root, the current directory. So from the current directory or from these members app, import from these members app views. Views, for instance, views. Remember, it is these files. I can say import that function. We call it home. I guess we call it home, right? So yeah, it's home. This function name, we call it home. And then now here we can use it. You can say home, and then comma, and then we can give it, for example, the home itself, actually the name itself. So let me just call it home, and then what else? So this is the name. So the name should be so I should say name, and then here I can say, for example, home. The name is home, then the view is home, then the path is gonna be like the default path. So guys, basically I think everything is now configured. Let's try to test on the browser if it's working really. So here I'll say, for example, py manage.py run server like this. And then I guess I will need to you can see here you have 18 unapplied migrations to your project. So your project may not work properly until you apply the migration. So guys, we need to apply migration here before we run here for it to work better. So first of all, let's break. And so I'll say py manage.py migrate. It is py manage.py migrate, like that. Then I will do the migration, and then you can see every migration is done. Then I guess we can do it. We can now run the server. And we no longer have and the problem there. So let me just run the server again. So not really, we should use the command run server to run the server. And then so let me first of all open, and then guys, I can see there's no this thing here. Oh guys, basically I should have removed that parentheses. These are not real parentheses, the forward slash, right? So what I do, guys, here at the URLs, I need to remove this one. I need to remove this thing so that it may just be like at the landing page. So once you modify, then now you can go to your browser and then refresh. You can refresh, and then you can see here there's also some bugs here we need to configure. So guys, I should have done this. I should have used the templates. Let me try with the templates and then see if it will work. Let me rename it to templates. Let me rename to templates and see if it will work or not. So let me just say templates, and then let me just check it out if it will really work or not. So guys, we need to run the server. So how do you run the server? Just say run server, py manage.py run server. Then let's again try again to refresh and see if we will still have the, yeah guys, you can see now it's working. You can see now it's working. It should be templates, not template. should be templates. But guys, I want to change the directory for the template, right? I want to change the directory so that it may be accessed on the root directory. So guys, basically to be accessed at the root directory, go to the project, then to the settings, and then guys, you'll need to go to the templates. Just scroll until you see the templates codes. And then here guys, what you'll do, just write this command. Like you can see guys, here at the top we have the variable for the base directory. You can see it's there, then a path, then is a file here, and then a .resolve, then a parent. So basically at the moment when this command, it is this way by default, then it will be placed at the apps folder. If you want to use the template, then you'll have to place it at the apps directory. Actually your app, then you place the template in that app. But if you want to change it to the root directory, then you'll have to modify here at the templates. Here you say, for example, dir, remember this, it is this variable here. Where is it? These are base dir, so we'll use that the base dir and the change base. It was base dir, but now we use what we will use this we'll use this parentheses here like this. And then what we'll do here guys, let's say for instance, if it were not here, first of all the first slash, then let's say for example templates like this. And then what I'll do here, now we need to, because we have removed these templates here, then now we can, now these templates, because it's the root directory, let's try to check it out if it's really working. First of all, we need to start the server. I'm always forgetful, so let me do this. Let me just run server again, and then let me just check it out. So guys, it's working, right? So let me try to modify things so that at least so let me go to the index. So let me just should be what? Let me just duplicate and let's say working. So let me just say something like working or something like that. Working. Here guys, you can see it's now working. So and then guys, I think everything now is now sorted. Everything is really working pretty fine now at the moment. Now we need to configure the static. We need to configure the static. Now guys, basically for static is where you add here and then for static, this is where you add in you can add in the CSS, JavaScript, and all that. So guys, basically, and guys, you can see at the moment we just returned what from the templates, but you can as well return what you can as well return just from the, you can just return with even without the templates. You can see here the views, we said index.html, but we can as well do what we can as well use the HTTP actually to just to return what, to return the specified text that we want to return it. So here guys, for example, I'll import here something called so say from Django dot http from Django.http. Remember HTTP is the protocols are here, like this they stand for hypertext transfer protocol. And then for example, we can say, for example, import HTTP request. Now if you use that one here instead of render, we'll use what HTTP request. And then here we can return, for example, something like we'll not even use the request here. We'll say, for example, return for example, let's say hello there. This one should be HTTP response, not request. Should be HTTP response, should be response, sorry, response. So if you don't want to use the template thing, then I can just do here, and then you can see it's hello there. If you want to use, for example, the h1 tags, you can just say type here the h1, like let's say h1, like h1 like this. H1, remember it should be inside there. There's a thing, so let me check if it will work here. Guys, you can see it's now a h1 tag. So guys, basically this is how you can go about that. But for me, I want to use the templates. I want to focus the templates in the thing in real world. You'll be using the templates, you know. So let me undo until I have the templates section. So that we may just work with the templates, right? So guys, I think everything is now okay. Let me first of all close once again and also minimize these sections. So guys, I want us to configure even the static. So the static, guys, I should be placed here at the members app, your app. Then you have to create a folder. Remember, first of all, let me go to the Nemtech project. And then at the settings, we have what? We have a file for static. You can see for static URLs, you should use this as static, the name static. You should use exact name static to handle the static. Static, these are like a JavaScript files, CSS, and all that. So what you'll do, even if you have the bootstrap things, you need to add here those are files. If you have those files, you should place here these are static. So what I'll do, let me just go to the members app. Let me go to the members, then here I can create a folder for static. It should be exact static like this, and then here we can add in something like let's say something like main.css. Now once you have that main.css, then to link it to your HTML, for example, let's add in for body so that you may see if it's really working. So for body, let's add in some background for it. So background color, we can give it something like aqua or whichever color it is, just for testing. Now we need to configure it to the templates, actually to the index.html. Now with Django, you don't place your first of all, let me minimize this section. You don't use just, you can see we have a first of all, let me change here to standard HTML so that I may use it. So let me just say HTML. So you can see by default in basic HTML by default, actually we usually use this link tag, and then we just place here your file. Like if it was static, then a static, then a /, then your file name. But now with Django, you have to load it here at the top. You have to load that static file here at the top with this command. So we use a curly braces followed by parentheses. Actually all Django tags are in this format. It is curly braces, then for percentage. Then if it was static, you just say static, and then so you say load static. So once a static is loaded, then here to use this static file, here you use also the brackets, the parentheses, and then percentage to percentage, and then here you can say static. Now you don't say load, you say static, and then and the file name of the static. If it were main, you say main.css. Now we'll have at least to, let me run the server again. Let me run the server, and then let me just check. Yeah, guys, you can see it's working now. So we have linked the CSS. We can change anything now with the CSS. So guys, this was just the basics. I want us to begin diving deeper. Remember guys, if you don't understand anything here, just rewind the video and learn more about that. So you've understood the URLs, you have understood the basics of the view function. So the view function, these are just the request handler. Like for instance, if we let me get to the project. So like for example, let me open this Explorer, and then so guys, these are members. These are members app. We have the views, right? So views, these are the request handler. For example, this request actually deals with the home views. This is for home views. So for example, if someone wants to access the home views, then the file for that will be index.html. This is the template. Now in Django we use they call it template. So the template that I will use here is the index.html. So when the user requests or clicks on a link, then the request will be sent here with to the views and .view function, and so the for that URL to function, it should be configured here at the URL patterns here. So you can see we have this home, and we gave it the the default what it will be like at the landing page. When someone just write the domain, then it will be this section. So if you are, for example, if it were something like about, we have to type here about, and remember, once you have that about here, you will not access this home page. Like you can see, it's no longer available here. You have to add in the forward slash, then about, and then about for you to access the content. But because I want it to be like at the landing page, then I'll have to do what I have to configure it here. I'll have to give it an empty string here like that, so that it may be by default like at the landing page. So you can see it's now working. So guys, basically these URL maps that template to the pattern that you want it to be like. This one will be the default landing page. So so when the user search, for example, that home page, then the request through this URL will be sent to the views function here. Then the views function will look for a particular template. Like it will look for, if you hear the models, it will look for models, the requested models. Then through the templates, it will return the templates or the resources that you requested. So basically, remember we discussed these stuffs previously, and I think by now you understand these stuffs in details. But as you go on, you'll learn more on the same. So now, guys, I want us to talk about something quite important: the models. So guys, until now, we have just been outputting static data. We've been just displaying the we have just been displaying the static data, like from the templates. We've just been displaying these templates and all that. But now I want us to return something from the database. So for example, someone has registered their names and all that, so we might want to return to the browser something related to their details that they inputted, they added it. So remember I told you that models, these are like the database in a table, right? These are like tables, not really. They should be tables in a database, not database in a table. Should be tables in a database. So models are like the tables in a database. At the moment, we've been just displaying these static stuff like the templates. If sometimes we returned even the HTTP response just from a self text there. Like at the views, we just wrote there something like a hello there, and then I return something. So I say that with Django, it allows you to work with the data, having to change or upload files in the process. It can also work with that. So now let me first of all minimize everything so that you may understand. So I've closed everything once again. Then I'm going to the members app. Then there's a file called models.py, and by default we have these files from django.db import models. Remember, this db is for database. So from that database we have these models. Now here guys, I want us to create what? I want us to create a class. Basically we use the class to create what? We shall use here the class to describe what? the tables field and all that. So here guys, I'll say, let me just call it for example class. Class, we use this as class keyword, and if you are good in Python, you understand what classes are. Then for example, let me just call it something like a member, just member one. Then here say models. Models should be models dot model, and then here we can add in the fields that you want. And guys, remember, you can just go to Django documentation. Let me just find here. Let me go to Django. Should be Django models field. So you can just go to Django models fields and find more reference here. There's a very nice documentation here where you can find everything here. And then so yeah guys, you can see we have a lot of stuffs here. We have the choices here, and we have a lot of stuffs. But guys, because I already have some knowledge about these stuffs, I'll just show you. For example, if you want to display the date field, then there's this stuff here. If it were something like yeah guys, I will have a lot of stuff. So you can just go here and then find the documentation about the fields here. But now because I'm teaching guys, for example, if you want to add in the first name, you can give it, for example, let's just call it first name. You can give it any variable for first name. For instance, first name, I'll assign here to models, and then dot char field. We use here char field. Char field. Let me use let me use a Pascal case. Let me use a char field like this. Then the max length. The max length, I can say, for example, max length. Is it the spelling for length? I can give it something like let's say 100, right, for a name. Now, so this is the first one, and then the second one should be something like the last name, right? Should be now guys, basically it should be models, not models. Now here should be last name, name, then I should be last name, right? So guys, this way we've added what we've added. These are two fields here. We have the first name and the last name in our table. So guys, in our table we'll have this a first name and last name. So basically there'll be an option to do it to input the first and the last name. Now guys, here there's something that I told you about making migration. So guys, basically what is the purpose of making migration? Now guys, once we've described the model here, the model that I've just created, we just call it member, the model, in the models.py file here. So we must run the command to create the table in the database. So what I'll do guys, let's go to here the terminal, and then let's first of all break the server. Then let's just remember, you must work under the virtual environment here. Ensure that the virtual environment is always running. And then here you can say, for example, py manage.py, and then make migrations, manage.py make migrations. So basically when you use these commands, you are telling Django to listen, or basically you are telling Django to be aware that you have another table that you want to include it in your database. So when you say make migration, you are just alerting Django to understand that you want to add in another table, or I want to make it aware that you have another table that you want to include in your database. So this way, and then as you can see now, migration is done like this. So you have make migration, but you have not migrated. This way, with this command, you are just telling Django to be aware that you want to add in some new table. So Now once you have done this, you need to make migration. Now there's a make migration and then there's migrate. So I'll say py manage .py. So after you've made Django aware that you want to make migration, you have a new table. So once you've done the make migration, you have to migrate now. So migrate to migrate. So py manage.py, then migrate now. Once you've made, now you can see now the members 001 is now has now this file. Oh sure, this file that I've been looking at, so it's migration here, this file for migration. Then you can see initially we just had this a blank thing, but now we have this initial. So this is the new file. You can see we have this member, and then by default it usually have the ID. You can change, so it will be have an auto increment ID. By default it will begin from now 1 onwards. So guys, basically when you make migration, then it will include it in your database. If you make another migration, then it will be 002 and all that. Now guys, basically in this case we are just using the basic database here. We are using SQLite, but if you have a lot of data for production, it is good to use powerful database systems like PostgreSQL or MySQL and all that. So guys, as a side note, you can view the SQLite statement that were executed from the migration above. All you have to do is to run the command here called py. It should be py or a Python manage.py, then let's say SQL migrate, then it was members, right? Members app, then 00, is it 001, right? So and then guys, you can see we have this input here. We have the first and then the last name. You can see they are both null. We haven't added anything in our table. So I want to show you how you can add in for example, how you can insert data into this stuff. So guys, remember this one, you can just add it here. For example, you can register even these models to your admin, and then later add the fields on the other side. But guys, I want just to show you how you can use shell to add here the data. I want to show you how you can use a Python shell to add in and the input here. So guys, here I'll say py. So we need to run this Python command py, and then manage.py, and then let me say shell to open the shell. So now with this shell we can write here the Python code, actually commands. So now the first thing that I want to use here to do here is to import what the members model. So at the bottom here guys, you can just say what, you can just say from members. Remember this is the app, members app. So from members app dot models, we are targeting the models. That members app, it has the models that we've created. The models you can see at the members, we have the where, not migration, members, we have the models, right? And that we have just created. So from members dot models like this, import what we are importing now. These are class here member, these are class member here, member. So I'll say member, a member like this, and then this way you have imported to that shell. And then for example, if you want to you can hit enter guys. Always once you're done, you can hit enter so that it may display the new line where you can write your code. So here guys, for example, if you want to obtain the objects or to check on the member, you can as well do this. You can say member model. Remember, it must be imported first of all. So I can say member.object, and then a dot all. dot all if you want to see all the objects therein. So at the moment, so should be objects. Sorry guys, I should be objects. Should be objects. And then so guys, you can see now the query set is empty. There's nothing, because actually we have not added anything here. So it's just like this. So a query set is a collection of data from the database. A query set is a collection of data from a database. So we shall talk about this one later. These are query set later, just in a few. But I want to show you how you can add in the records, right? So here I'll say member. Let me just call it member. Don't forget we have members. Members is the name of the app, but now here I'm just using like a member, like a member, for example, defining someone. Actually, for example, if it's Nehemiah is a members, but now members is the app name. But now here I'm using member for referring to the person. So let me say member, and then I'm targeting the member model. This is a member model. Now the first name, and the first name is say first name. You should use the exact name that you use it here. First name I can assign here to, let's say something like let me say Nehemiah. Let me say Nehemiah, and then always ensure that you close your string with the quotes. Should be inside the quotes. And then let me say last name. Let me say last name, and then here I'll say, for example, Wekesa, and then always ensure that you close everything here. And by the way, it's a good practice always to close before even you do anything. So once you are done, you can hit enter. So basically there's a positional argument follows keyword argument. Oh, so guys, I think I forgot something there. So first of all, let me check. Oh guys, I forgot the parentheses here. I should have assigned here. So I should do this, not here. Here I should add in this equal operator. So guys, now we need to save. So I'll say member referring to the person member, then a dot member.save. And the member.save, now to save it to the database. So when I hit enter, then it will have saved the content there. So now we can say, for example, if we want to see the member table, if it got a member, what we'll do, just do this, just say member, a member model, this member referring to the members model, right? And then now dot object should be objects. Remember, it's object, not object. Object, then object, not really, should be object, then a dot all method, but now I want to target the values only, so that it may not return everything. Remember, this way when you hit, it will just show you the object itself, but if you want the values, you'll add in here, let's say dot. Here I've just used the arrow case here pointing upward to pull these data up there. So here I'll add here values. If I want to see only values like this, and then you'll see the first name is Nehemiah, last name is Wekesa. So guys, you can see we have the values like that. So guys, how do you add in multiple values? How do you add in multiple records at the same time, other than doing one, then saving and all that? So guys, basically in that case, what you'll do, you can just say, for example, for instance, so guys, basically you can add records by making a list of members, like this way. You can just do this and then add in several, like you can do the same, you can just repeat the same ones you did here up here, but now I want to show you how you can do everything at a go. So let me just for example, let me say member 1. Let me call it member 1, right? Then let me assign here to member model. And then here I can say, for example, let's say first name. But basically, guys, the quickest way for me is just to use this command. But here, let me just add here. Let me say member 1. Let me call it member 1. Then here I can say something like let me call it. Should I use just the same name? Because guys, for the interest of time, let me just use something like let me call it John. Let me call it John. What's the spelling for John? John, I guess. Then John my case and all that. But now, guys, what I do, I just want to be changing the sorry. I just want to be changing what? So there's an invalid syntax somewhere. So let me just check. Oh, guys, here I forgot. Should be not the parentheses shouldn't be here. So the first name is John. You ensure that you write your things properly so that now there's an match here thing. So guys, I think also I added here an extra parenthesis. Sorry for that. You ensure that you write member, then a first name you give it John, last name your other name. Then when you hit enter, I think it will be it will work. So you can see we have member 1. We can do now. We will have 2 records. Let me just add here 2, and then you can do 3. Let me just get here and then I change here to member 3, and then let me say, for example, 4. The names I'm not changing. Let me say, for example, let me say 4. Let me say 4, and then let me do another last one. Then let me say let me say 5, something like 5. So I'm just repeating. So basically, this is how you can add in multiple records. And then now, guys, basically when you do that command to return the values, remember, let me just get there. So there's a command member.objects.all method.values. So you'll find all the records there, and then guys, you can see there's a list of these items here: id1, id2, and all that. So first of all, let me member should be member, then .objects.all. Oh, guys, basically I forgot here. I should have saved. We forgot to save. That's why you can see it's not doing what is not. So first of all, I'm not sure if it will work again. So let me just say at the end of it, guys, I should have done this. I should have said something like so I should have said something like for example I should have used here for loops, and then I save everything. So guys, let me just say a member. Let me just create here a variable. So let me just say member list, a member, something like a member list, a variable. Let it be member 1. Let it be something like let's say member 1, member 1. Let me just type member 1, then member 2, then member 3, then member 4. It went up to member 5, and then so let me close with the parentheses, like they are not really parentheses, they're squared something. So now let me hit enter, and then guys, I forgot I should have saved here. So let me use now a for loop. So let me say for for example, for X in a member list, member list, member underscore list, then a colon, then in this new line I'll say X dot save, and then so that you may save. So guys, basically let me so first of all, remember you should have some indentation here. X dot save. Yeah guys, it has saved in this way. And then now guys, basically now when I do it, when I want to list these items with this command, with this member.object.all, then I should list all the objects here. You can see we have a lot of names that are included here up to number 6. Remember, the indexing begins from that first item that we created previously with the member. Now we had also member 1, member 2, and all that. So guys, basically this is how you can add in the records in that model or that table in our database. So how do you update the data? So for example, you want to change the data of the last record and all that. So how do you do that? So first of all, you have to do an import. Remember, we have already imported here. So I'll say from. Remember, it's already imported, but it's a good practice always to ensure that you have this import. So from members.model models from the models. Remember, the file is models. Then import member, right? Member, and then in this member, first of all, let me hit enter. So we've imported. Then here, guys, for example, we can create X. Now let's assign here to member, and then let's say object. Then let me say all. Then I can tag it now, for example, the element that I want to modify by specifying, for example, if it's 6, and then this way. Then what you do, just hit enter. So first of all, the list index out of range. So I guess it went up to number. Oh, guess it should be 6, I guess. Let me give it 5, something like a 5. Let me delete this one, then I give it something like a 5. Yeah guys, this one is working. Then for example, I can say X the first name X dot first name. Then what you do, you can hit enter. First name, then you can hit enter, and then you can see, first of all, you can see it's John at the moment. It's John at that number 5. It's John. Now we can do it. We can create a new one and save. So I say X dot first of all, let me delete X dot first name. Then here I assign here to something new. I say, for example, let me say it should be inside the parentheses because it's a string. And then I'll say here something like now this one I'll use, for example, let me use Mercy. Let me use a Mercy. Then after everything, guys, always remember to save. How do you save? X, targeting this element X dot save. X dot save, and then you have saved your file here. So now when you want to execute again, you use the same command that we used up there above. This command, member.object.all, then values, then to obtain the values here. And then now the number 5, ID number 5, the first name you can see is should be number 6. Is it number 6? Remember, indexing in Python begins from what? 0. So 0 is like 1, 1 is like 2, and so forth. So when we gave it 5, so it target the last element, which is 6 now. So you can see 6 now, it's Mercy. and then the last name is Wekesa, because we didn't modify the last name. You can see, but now that's how you can do it. That's how you can now modify it, right? So guys, I guess you've understood up to that point. Now I want to show you, I told you that Django always follow the CRUD format. CRUD, that is create, read, update, and also delete. So we can as well delete a table from a database. So how do you do that? So first of all, ensure that you've imported your modules. Remember, for me, I've already imported here. But now you can target the element that you want to use. For example, if it were 5, this is the number 5 again that I want to modify. For example, I want to delete this number 5. So what I'll do, I'll write this command here, x referring to this member.objects.all. You can as well use something like a y. Let me use y so that you may see we are not, doing the same thing. Let me use y, and then I hit enter, and then now and so first of all, let me say y dot first name. You see it will be massive first. What's the spelling for first name? First name, then now you can see it's massy, right? So once, guys, I want to delete it. So let me just say x dot delete like this. Then you can see, guys, it tells you this way. The result will be, it will look like this. So which tells you how many items were deleted from which model. So it's one item which was deleted, and then from these members up, then the member model, then actually is first name. Basically it will delete everything. It will delete both the first name and the last name. So guys, let me try to list again the objects here with this command, and then guys, I will no longer have number 6. We no longer have that massy whatever. We only have to number 5. So you can see we no longer have that massy. So guys, this is how you can delete a record from a database. So now basically, how do you add fields? How do you add fields to your models? So again, to add fields, for example, now in this field, so at the moment you only have the first name and then the last name, but you can as well add in several, like let's say for example phone, let's say phone number, we'll assign here to models dot models dot what dot so for mobile phone, I think this one should be integer. So I'll say integer should be integer field. This one should be integer field, and then let me just give it an empty tuple like this. And then the other thing I'll use, remember guys, you can find these and these are models fields in the Django documentation, and I learn more about this. But by default, this is how you can add in the character fields. This is how you can add in the integer fields. And then for date fields, at least let me just say joint. For example, let me just say joint underscore date. The date in which this member joined, I can say models dot date field. So it will be date field here, date field, and then here I'll just give it an empty tuple again. But you can add in several arguments inside here, but at the moment I just want to use that one. So guys, basically, how do you save these steps? So first of all, you must make migration here. So first of all, let's do this. Let's break this thing. So first of all, let's exit. You can see now at the moment it's at the shell. You can write here the Django commands. So you have to type here exit like this. Not there should be exit. I just exit. Sorry guys, it should be exit, and then like this. Yeah, so guys, now we are at the command line tool. Here we can write here our stuff. So here I'll say pi manage. We need to make migration. To make migration, first of all, guys, it takes Django that you want to add in. You want to make Django to be aware that you have new fields that you want to include in your database, in your database table. So I say manage dot py. Sorry, should be py. Then I make migration. Make migrations. Make migrations. Now with this make migration, we are just making Django aware that you have new migration that you want to make. So once you tell it make migration, hit enter, and then so guys, you can see now we already have previous records, right? We already have previous records, but we've modified. So here it tells us that you can add in the default values for the previous field that we already had, which didn't have the for example the phone number and all that. So we can add in the default values for them so that it may match with other records. So you can see here, let me first of all scroll up. It is important. Let me just get here and let me just get it is impossible to add an non-nullable field joint date to members without specifying the default. This is because the database needs something to populate existing rows. You can see we had already existing rows that didn't have what the date field. Like we had just Nehemiah Wekesa and other stuffs. So we need to add in some fields so that the table may match, Now the option number one, on how to we can fix, provide one of default value will be set to will set all existing raw values with a null variable for this column. Then option 2, quit and manually define a default value in the models. So I want to use option 1, right? I want to use option 1. So I say type here 1, then I hit enter. Then here you can see please enter a default value as a valid Python, like date time and the Django utils. So like you can use let's use this one. Let's use this one, time zone now, so that we may give the previous fields, we may give it the time zone for now. Basically the time zone now, the current time. So I say time zone, then I dot now, then I add in those parentheses. Is it yeah, so guys, basically when I hit here 1, then it will add here, these are members staffs. So guys, you can see when I just hit enter there, then it will add here to the members. So here guys, I can now, we have made the migration, we have made migration. Now we need to add what? We need to add in there, and we need to migrate now. So I'll say pi manage.py migrate, manage.py migrate, and then let me hit enter. Then it will do the migration. You can see now it is running the migration here for join date, member, and the phone. So when you go to these members, where to members, then a migration, now we'll see that we have these two. These are second modification here. The field, the integer field we have added there. Then the date field also we have it here. The join date and all that. So guys, everything now is now sorted, and guys, basically this is how you can add in the this is how you can add in the the fields. So guys, I think you've understood up to this juncture. I want us to open the shell again and show you how you can add in the values here. So like I can just say, first of all, let me just list everything. First of all, let me do this. Let me just say Python pi, then let me say shell, right? Let me use a shell so that I may open the shell. So manage.py, then let me just type here shell. Let me just type here shell. let me say member. Let me say member dot objects dot all, and then let me say dot values like this. Then let me hit enter. Member is not defined. Let me reach there. So we had not imported, right? So let's first of all import. So let me say from members dot models import what member. I should have imported first, and then here I can do what? I can do this one, member dot objects dot all, and then our values, and then guys, you can see we've added the date, so it has the date time. You can see because we added the default date time. You can see we have this default values here for date time is 23, the current date time. So guys, basically this is how you can do you can list. And so guys, I think you've now understood how you can do it, how you can display these stuffs. So guys, basically you've now understood the models. Now I want to show you how you can display these stuff on the screen, actually on the client side, how you can display these stuffs on the front end. So guys, basically let's now get, first of all, let me close everything. I guess you've understood the models. If you have not understood, just rewind the video, and then so now I want to go to the templates, right? To the templates, now to this index.html, and then now this is the file for index. Let me minimize this at it is index. And then now guys, first of all, let me exit these sections of data. Now here guys, what I'll do, let me go to the so guys, basically you can if you want to display this data in a page, so guys, I go to the template for the app, the index, or whichever template you have. Then here guys, we can use, for example, something like the UL. So you can change the language model here from Django HTML to standard HTML. And then here guys, you can just write here something like you can just write here what you can just write here. You can use a let me use a UL. Then inside this UL, I'll have the loop here. I can loop these items, so I'll use the Django tag. So I can also change the mode to Django. That should be Django HTML and Django HTML. Then here I'll add in the let me say for x in. So this is the code. Actually, this is the start tag and the closing tag. So the first tag is the for x in which one? In my member. So guys, I will need to create I will need to modify the views. Perhaps I'll create another context for my members, like let me just call it my member. We shall modify the views later, my member. And then here we'll want to display what we want to display. Let me use now the li. And the li, let me close first of all the li, closing tag for the li. And then here you can use the Django tag. For example, these are two parentheses, open and closing two parentheses here like this. And then here I'll say x dot, for example, to display the first name, like let's say a first name. And then let's do this. Let's also add in here for the last name, for last name. Here it should be the last name, right? Should be last name. Last name, right? Should be last name. The variable, I guess it was last name. You should use the exact variable, and then I should end here with the end for, which is ending this my member loop here. So guys, basically we need now to remember guys that all Django tags, when you use it in the template, should have this bracket followed by the percentage, the start and the closing. So this is the syntax for Django tags. And then so these Django tags, they tell Django to perform some programming logic inside these brackets, like this way you can loop items and all that. Now guys, basically at the moment it won't work. We need to modify the view function, right, so that it may return these stuffs. So I'll go to the members app, then to the views, and then here the views, guys, I will need to add in the something called what we need to import even loader. So I'll say, for example, from Django .template import loader. Let's import loader like that. And then also we need to import that model. The model is member, right? So we have this member model, so we need to import it here. So we'll say from the current directory, use this dot to represent the current directory. From the current directory .model. Remember, there shouldn't be a white space. Here should be just combined. Then I import. We are importing that member model. So here should be models, not models. Yeah, it's working. And also we can as well do what we can as well even import the HTTP response. So let me just say from Django .http import HTTP response. Remember guys, you can always find the reference or the documentation for these stuffs from the Django documentation and learn more about this. So these are this is for rendering the templates and all that. And for this HTTP request is to return on the self page, on the same page. So for example, if you want to list items on the same page, then you need to use this HTTP response, because this one doesn't load the index, actually the template. It loads the data from the database. So you need to have this HTTP response to load data from the database. So, and then now guys, basically here we have also to create the variable here inside this function. We need to modify here, because here we used my member. We use my member here as a variable that carries the members context. So members are models. Let me just say my member. You have to use the exact variable name, my member. Then here we shall assign it to member. Member model should be member. And then a dot objects dot all. Member dot all. Then we want to have only the values, to list only the values. We want to list only the values. So guys, I'm just giving you the basics, but remember you can do a lot with the Django models, but I want just to touch on everything so that at least you can understand here much better. So the template, I'll give it to the loader. So let me say loader dot get template here get template, this one get template, and then the template is let me say index, this one. Let me just paste it here. They should be inside the string, right? Should be inside the strings here. So it is index.html, and then we need to pass here the context. So I say context, then I'll assign here to this object list here. So I'll say, for example, my members. Remember here it was my member. Let me use my members. Then I should be the same my members, and then here I'll assign here to the my members, right? Should be my members, and then so guys, we need to return here now. So let's say return the HTTP, so that we may list those items there. So HTTP response, then here we'll pass here template. Remember, it is referring to this variable that we have here for that template. So it's template sorry, should be template like that. And then also we'll have to render that template with the render function. And then also we need to pass here context. We'll pass here context and the request. What we do, guys, I want us to run the server and see if it will really work. So here I'll say py manage .py run server. Then let me hit enter, and let me hope everything will work out. And there's some bugs, yeah. So guys, now the goodness with this Django, it usually give you the bugs. You can easily tell. So you can see from dot models cannot import a member. So guys, basically it should be member, capital M, should be member like that. So this way, I guess it can work. You can see now we no longer have that error. So let me just open and see if it will really display the data. Let's try to check again on the index.html here on this other side. So let me here say something like let me at least add something like h1. Let me change here to standard HTML. Oh guys, basically here I used my member instead of my members. Here I used my member, that's the reason. But at least let me add here a h1. Then let me say let me call it something like my member, like let me just say my member list. And then here guys, I'll have to modify here and give it members. So remember guys, it should be unique, it should be identical. Like in this view function we used my members, and then here it is my member. So they are different things. So you should use the exact variable if you want to obtain the same output. So guys, you can see now we have listed all the members there. So guys, the next thing I want us to create another template for the member details. Like for example, when they click on my Wekesa, it can give them the details like the year they joined, and also the phone number and all that, the details. Then I can say, for example, like details. We can give it any name, details, and dot. Remember, it must end with the extension .html and details.html. Now in these details, guys, I want to use let me just copy the codes from this one. Then let me just paste it here, and of course here I'll just change some few things here and there. Like here I can say member details. Let me just say, for example, let me just, for example, first of all, let me say member detail, and then here guys, I will not use this Django tag here. Let me just first of all delete. Of course we shall use Django tag, but not the for loop here. because we want just to have the details for the first person. So I'll use here the h1. Let me remove this one, I don't see the need, or let me just replace this one. Now here I'll pull data from the database. So I'll say now to use the variables, we use these are two braces, two curly braces, a pair of curly braces, to use a context, or to use a variable that you've defined in the view functions. So perhaps let me just call it my member. Of course we shall modify the view function later. Let me call it my member, not members, my member. Remember, variable should be unique. There should be unique identifiers, my member. And then for example, dot first name, my member dot first name should be, the variable should be exact, my member dot first name. And then I want to do to make the other one for should be last name, right? It should be last name. So let me just say last name. Should be last name, yeah. And then guys, basically here I'll use basically a paragraph tag, the p tag, I guess, p tag, not should be this one. And then here in this paragraph tag, I'll say for example phone. I say phone. Sorry, phone. Then here let me use the Django tag for variable for phone number. Then here I'll say what? I'll say my member. I'll say my member dot phone. My member dot phone. And then what else? Also for date. Let me add here for date. So here I'll say let me say member since. Member since when? Since. And then here I'll add here my member, then here should be joined date. I think we used joined underscore date. Joined underscore date. Let me confirm joined underscore date. Yeah, sure. You should use the exact things for it to work. First of all, to the details. Yeah, joined date. If you are not sure, just do copy pasting so that everything will be perfect. And then now also let's have a URL so that it can return them back to the main page, of which is the home page, right? So here I'll use for example the paragraph tag. Let me say p. Let me use a p tag, and then p. Then here I'll say back home, or a back. Let me just say something like a back to. Then let me use an anchor tag here. How do you define an anchor tag? With an anchor with just a like this. Sorry, this is a closing tag for the anchor tag. And then here of course you have to add in the name for the anchor tag. So I'll say so let me just say back to members, or let me just say members. Yeah, members. Yeah. But now here we need to add in the hyperreference here. So I'll say href like that. Then I'll give it let me just say what? Let me just say members. You can just do a / then I say members. Members. I think the name we gave it members. Let me confirm. Just go to the views. And then not really views, the URLs should be URLs. And then the URLs, the name here is home. It is home, not I think here we used what. So here should be let me say home, but you can still call it members. You can call it members, or basically I think the best way, let me just call it members, right? So that it relates with the context. So let me just change here to a name to be members, right? So that I can as well use here members. So basically over here you don't have to specify the whole path because it's at the same directory. So you just say the / then to the members, and then it will return here to the members. Now we need to configure also the URLs. Guys, basically we should make the links also be clickable, like in such a way, like in this scenario. Let me get to, like you can see at the moment these are just text, like a text. We need to make these tabs clickable so that when they click it directs them to the to this page details, and of course at the moment details won't work. Now at the moment it won't work unless we configure the URLs and also the view function. So first of all I think I should first of all let me get to the index, and then here for members, then in this list, in this anchor tag, actually I should have added here the anchor tag, the anchor tag like this, and then so let me just use a hyper reference here. So href, then in this href I'll say details, so details, and then this is the details, and then what is remember guys that these things should be inside, these are first and the last name should be inside the anchor tag because we want to make it them clickable, so it should be inside the anchor tag. So let me place it here at this anchor tag like that, and then details, then not exactly, or what I'll do guys, let me just first of all undo, and then here first of all this one should be direct them to the ID. And so what I'll do guys, let me just say ID. So for example x, and then dot ID, so that it may pull the ID, so that it may pull the ID, and then here we'll add in this so this anchor tag should enclose everything. Just before the closing tag of the list should be here at the end, so that these tabs may be clickable, right, like that. And then so that when you click on an item, then it can be clickable, and it directs them to that details. And then I will show you how we can configure it to the urls.py in such a way that when you click on that one, then it gives you the ID number of that name, and then you can view their details. So what I'll do, let's configure the view, or let's create the view function, right? So I think what I'll do guys, let me just duplicate this one. Let me duplicate, and then this one I can give it details. Let me just call it details. Details, and then here I'll say my member, not members. So I'll say my member, then objects, and then here I'll say not. So let me delete this task because I want to obtain the unique ID, the ID number of that item. So I'll say so here I'll say guys, let me say now here we should pass here, we should have pass here request and also the ID, also, and then here it's member, then objects, then dot get ID. So it should be get ID, which is ID, and then the template here should be details. Now we should change here to details.html. It was details.html, Then our context here, now we are changing to my members, from my members to member because it's a single person, we say member, a member like this. And then here we shall return this HTTP response, and also we shall render the template, the context, and also the request. I forgot here a comma. I should add here a comma. Always remember to add in the comma so that everything may be okay. And then so guys, here the URLs. Let's do this. First of all, let's add in here a comma. Then here we'll say path, and then I'll say here this one I'll give it let me give it something like so first of all, because we want to obtain even the details and also the ID number, so here I'll use this home view. So let me copy, and then let me just even paste it there, and then here I say /, then for example this one was the details, right? And then here gives it was details. Yeah, let me just confirm details. So basically this details is like the view, the patterns or the path for this members thing. So it should be details, and then here I'll say, for example, details, and then because we want to obtain the ID, I'll use this ID. Remember we linked the ID here, so I say int, and then in relation to the ID number, so it will be ID, so ID like this. And then now guys, basically the view function here, it was first of all comma, and then at the views it was details, right? Details. Now these details we need to add it here at the top. In fact, let me place it inside the parentheses so that at least our stuff may be organized. So let it be at the in this tuple, and then here also the name. Let me give it details, and then what else? Details here, right? So let me first of all check it out and see if it will work. Let me so guys, basically it's not really working, it's not picking. So what I'll do guys, let me just try to at least modify here some things. Here I'll say, for example, member. Let me just call it members. I'll call it members, and then you need to add in the / here. So let me just call it members. And then alternatively guys, I think what I should do here, let me give it an empty path, but now here let me add in what? Let me add in the / here at the top. So let me just return back. Let me refresh first of all, and then first of all let me try to click, and then it's not really picking, it's not showing the details. So we need to configure here. Perhaps let me call it let me just give it a name, like let me just call it members. I think this way it will work much. Members, let it be members, at least it will be in relation. So let me just try again. And see if it will really work or not. So let me get back, refresh. No, so I should go to the members, because we've changed the patterns. Members should be members. And then now let me just click, for example, Nehemiah. Then guys, it's not working. It's not really working here. So can I just change everything so that at least members, let me change here also to where there's home, let me change here to members. So members is in reference to so I should also change here to the views function, right? Let me just change here to let me change the view here to members, and then let me be sure that everything is really working fine. So basically what else have we omitted? I guess everything is super fine. Let me once again try. Yeah, guys, you can see now it's really working. It's working, and then you can navigate back. You can see when you click that back, it can take you back. So this is the ID number 2. You can see it is John Wekesa. Then remember, since because we gave it the default date to 14, the current datetime, and then you can check everything. You can see it's now displaying super fine. Yeah, you can see the URL here, members details. Then number 4. Then this number 5. So guys, it's super fine, right? So guys, basically now the next thing I want us to discuss on how to add the master template, or sometimes they usually call it base.html or a base file. So with the base, actually Django provides you with a nice way or a quick way to extend templates. Like for example, you can see is a proper way if you have a navigation section here at the top, so that we can navigate back and forth in this page, so that it can be super nice for us to write few lines of code in the main page. So guys, like here at the code, let me just create file called let me call it master. You can call it base.html. Base master, let me call it master.html. Master.html, right? Let me just call it master.html. And then now so like I'll not have to do this. I'll not have to use a lot of content here. So what I'll do, I'll just let me guys, let me just write some content here. Let me copy this stuff. Let me cut, and then let me paste it where let me paste it here, the master, the head, and then what else? The footer, right? So this one also. Let me paste it here. The closing tags, and then now guys, basically here we need to load the statics also. We need to load the static. So I'll say what? I'll say load. So let me say load, should be load static, and then so guys, basically here for title, because the title is changing. For title guys, it is and title you can't use the same, for example, for details and the members list. So we need to also to create placeholders for title, so that we can modify on the other end. So for title guys, what I'll do here, instead of adding our titles here the base file, because we shall extend it to other files, to other templates, or to other pages, so titles we won't be good idea to use the same, so we have to use it as a placeholder. So here guys, I'll just say block, then I'll give it a title. Let me call it a title. Let me call it title, right? Let me just use a title, the block title, and then I should have the end block here. So for end block, you can add in the title, or I can just leave it the way it is. But when you just say end block, it will be super fine for us. And then now, guys, here we'll do what we'll say. Here we'll say what? Here we'll say block content. So this is block. Sorry, should be block. Then remember these are the Django tags. But now here I'll say content now. Content. So now with this content, guys, anything that we want to use it at the other files, we should use these tags. So like for example, let me just say, for example, let me use maybe a footer. Let me just say a footer here, and then let me say this is a footer. I want to test if it will extend to other sections. So guys, basically in that way, if you want to use the master template, then you have to do what you have to extend it. How do you extend? So you say extends, should be extends. Now to use it, you say extend, extends. Remember, I'm just writing, but it completes for me, but you know, the proper way is percentage braces percentage extends, but you know, Visual Studio Code it does auto completion for me. That's why I don't string, but the command or the function is extends. Then here you type in the exact name for your master template. If it were base, you just here write here base, but for me I used master, so I say master dot html, master dot html. And then this one, first of all, every other content that want to be displayed on a page should be inside these two braces. Sorry, let me cut. And then the other thing, so anything that want to be displayed on a page should be written inside these two tags, between the start tag and then the end tag here. So it should be inside this stuff. And then here this static should be after you've extended this stuff. Here should be here. Now guys, basically you can see now we no longer have a lot of stuff to write here, but now for title, because title is also dynamic, what we'll do guys, here I'll say block, so let me say block, and then I'll say here it was title, right? It was title, and then inside here is where you can write your title, like you can say, for example, so this one is for details, so I'll say member detail. Let me just call it member details, member details. Then for example, let me say something like a name tag. Let me call it name tag, or I can just write anything there. So this will be the title. So let's try to refresh and see if it will work, or it will throw the error. So we should do the same to other pages, like for, let's extend it to other pages, like for the other one was index. Where is index? Here it is. So here at the top, instead of all these other stuffs, I'll just write what? I'll just copy this part, not where were we, the details, because I want to use the same things. Let me just copy this thing up to here. Let me copy then to here. Let me just do it. Let me just copy this part. Let me copy that part, and then also end block. So end block is just the same as the start block. For this one is for, remember now this block content, for content it should have the end tag. No, we were at the index. So at the here, instead of this HTML, we just add in here the end block, because that master already has the tags for the end block of the HTML. So guys, basically this way we are good. So this way we are good. But now here I can change here to member details. Let me just say members list, something like the title. Actually, let me call it members list, and then let me call it, for example, name tag. And then guys, let's try to see if it's working, right? Yeah guys, you can see now it's working. Members, this is a footer, because the master template had that file name called this is a footer. You can see now we have it. Let's try to go to the details and see if it's there. And then you can see also to the details it is, and there's this extension, this is a footer. So basically this is how you can link it, and this is how you can link the master template to your things. So for example, for instance, if you want to add in the navigation items here at the top, you can just create it on the master, then it will automatically add it to those sections, actually to your pages. You can add them there at the top. So guys, basically this is how you can include this one. You can extend a template, the master template, or the base template. Sometimes some people call it base. what shall we, so guys, we can also create what, we can also create for the root, we can create also the main. You can see now when you write like this, because we added members, so at the moment this one is empty, the landing page is empty, so we can create the main page. So the main, I think we can call it, and the main we can call it what, we can call it should we call it index, but let me just call it main. Let me call it main. Sorry, should be at the template. Then let me call it something like a main dot html, main.html. So this one will be the landing page when someone visits the root folder of the project, main.html. And then we can as well do the extension here, this one, and then you can say where's the main, let's paste it there. Now here we'll change it to main. Let me change it to main or a home. I think let's just call it home, home, and then so home, and then so this is the title, and then so let's copy also the end block. End block for main also here should be, so anything that want to be displayed at the home should be here. We need to configure the URLs patterns here, the urls.py. So here I'll say so let me just refresh. So here I should have used just an empty list like that, just an empty thing, and then here I'll go to home. Let me go to home, then I can call it the name, I can give it home also. I can call it home. Now let's create also, let me add it here home, let me add it here home, and then so what I'll do, let me go to the view functions, and then here guys, what I'll do, let me just say what, let me just use this one. Let me just write here, let me create define a function div, then let me call it home. But now this one is gonna be symbol, is gonna just take in request, then a colon, and then here I want it to return basically let me use this one because we already have the HTTP response here at the top. Let me just use, instead of render, let me use this HTTP response. It can still work. So let me just say template, for example. Let me just call it template. Let me just call it a variable called the template. Let me assign here to a loader dot get template, and then here I'll pass here a main.html, and again we can use that response. So let me just say a response return HTTP should be HTTP response, then it should be template. We'll use a template dot render because this one is it will be so it will render that home page. So let's try to run again and see if everything is really configured. So yeah guys, you can see at the moment this is a footer, so it's really working. But now I need to add in something here at the home page, right at the landing page. So let me just say let me go to the main. So basically the title, first of all let's confirm if the titles are really working. You can see here the top title is home.name tag. If you go to, for example, member, it will be member details, I think member. Let me go to members, then you can see here it's members list. When you go to members, you can see now it's member detail. So guys, you can see now this templating system is super nice to extend the items. Now guys, I want to add in some content here, like guys, I can use here, let me use a h3. Let me return here to the guys. You can switch modes here at the top if you're using Visual Studio Code. Here you can see now if you want to add in some, if you want to use some shortcut like a h1, when you just type h1, it won't display the way the HTML tags should provide the snippets actually in this Visual Studio Code. So to return to the standard HTML mode, you just say HTML, just type there here at the top HTML, then you select this one, and then you can see the mode here is changed to HTML. So here guys, for example, if here I type here h1, when I hit enter it will autocomplete for me. Then I can type here like a member should be members, so let me just call it members. And then here I can add in the URL. Let me use a p tag first of all. Then here I can say check or check out all our let me just say check out all our then here I'll use perhaps an anchor tag. Let me just use an anchor tag, and then here I should be members. Be sure to add in the forward slash here at the top at the end, so that it may ensure that you add in the forward slash there at the end. And then here I say members. I check out our members. So so guys, basically let's check it out and see if it is really working. So this is the your root page, and then guys, you can see let's check out our members. Let me zoom in a bit. Check out our members. When you click on members, then it directs you to the members page. Then you can see we have the members list here. For example, if you go to Nehemiah, it can take you to Nehemiah, you can turn back and all that. Of course, you can as well do. So guys, by the way, let me add in the navigation item here at the top so that it can be easier for you to navigate. So where's the master? Here's the master, and then here I can add in what I can add in. So let me change the mode to HTML, and then here at the top, I can do what I can add in. For instance, let me say UL, then here at the LI, I'll use what the anchor tag. And the anchor tag. So guys, basically there's a two way on how you can configure your URLs with the name, or you can just use the path. Home, let me check and see, let me refresh. So so it's not an anchor tag yet. So this home should be before the closing of the anchor tag here. Let me refresh. So guys, this way it's not really working, so I should have used here the name. It was so guys, I think this way we can use these are braces, two braces in the percentage. Then here it should be URL, then here you can type in your URL. So the URL is the name of that URL should be something like it was what. So go to the URL, then it is home, then let me get there, then let me paste it there. Let me add in the other one for let me add in another one for members list. So it was members, and then so this one will take me to members. So I forgot to change the name. The name should be members list. Members. So it's now working super fine. Members, you can navigate to home, then I'll go to members, and then so you can see now the nav bar is or basically the navigation section is just there. So you can navigate quite easier to other pages and all that. So guys, you can see now the goodness with using the master templating system. So guys, basically this is how you can configure the master templates and use it. Now the next thing, guys, I want us to understand how we can do it, how we can create the 404 page. Like you can see now, for example, if I type here something which is not related to the something that we have not configured in our URL patterns, then it will show what these are stuff. So you don't want to create these things. You don't want to have a page or basically the user to see these codes, these things. So you have to create a 404 error page, so for page not found, so that they can be redirected back to something which is at least reasonable, so that they can navigate back to another page or to home. So now in a nutshell, once again, if you try to access the page that does not exist, you'll always get this 404 error, and the Django directs you to a built-in view that handles the 404 error. But now, guys, I want us to modify it. We need to change the debug. Now go to the settings. Let me close everything here, also minimize here. So the project here, it is NameTech, right? So NameTech, and then I go to the settings, and then now you can see the debug. The debug, where is it? The debug here is set to true. So we need to change here to false, so that we may not see the bugs, the nini. So we need to change here to a false boolean. And then now once you've changed there, here you should use asterisk to allow all hosts, but remember, when you are in production or when you have hosted your website, here you should use your domain. You should use your domain name instead of this asterisk. So and then yeah, so you should use asterisk. And then so guys, basically now at the moment, let's try to again to access this page. So let's try to access the page. First of all, let me just make sure that the server is really working. So let me run the server. And then so guys, you can see now not found. We have set the debug to false, and we have accepted all hosts. So so now at the moment the server is not found, but we need to create our own template in page, or basically a template where when you type something which is not related, it will direct you there. So in that case, guys, I'll go to the HTML, then I just create a file called 404. Just create a file called 404.html. Just easy. 404.html. 404.html. You know. So once you've created this file, then let's extend details. Let me get some content here, so let me just copy, and then let me just paste it here, and then add in the closing. So and then here I'll change, let me switch the mode to HTML, and then here I'll say use for example let me use a H2 or whichever tag you use. So I can say, for example, oops, something like let me say oops, something like oops, seems the page you are looking should be you are looking cannot be found. We can as well add in here, go back to home. I can create here an anchor tag, for example. Let me create a p tag first of all, and then in this p tag let me add in the anchor tag. Anchor tag, and then in this anchor tag, guys, here I'll add in the percentage this tag to redirect me back to home. So so here say, for example, so here it should be URLs, not even example, should be URLs. Then here we should pass here home. the name. It was home. Now when you refresh, you can see. So guys, I forgot here. I should have added something like let's say click here to go home, to return home, to return, or let me just say click here to home, go home. Or what should I say? Click here to go home, or to go home page, or something like that. Like, oh guys, basically should be inside the content. Remember, for me, I added here the title. Oh, sorry guys, this content should be inside the content. Remember, anything that want to be displayed on the page should be here. Sorry, I didn't notice. And then let me refresh. Then you can see, oops, seems the page you are looking cannot be found. Click here to go home page. Then you can see now you are home. Then you can go to members. Then you can view the members details and all that. So guys, you can see it is super nice to navigate this way with the 404. So you don't want the users to see the bugs. You don't want to see them to see what the errors. But now guys, you can see when we change back to, let me go to settings. When we change here back to true, then it will display the codes, the errors, the bugs, you can see. So you don't want the user to see these things. You want them to see the 404 error page. So in that case, guys, you have to use the false. But in production, you don't use asterisk. Remember, when you use this asterisk, it allows all hosts. But when you have it on the live server, when it's running on live on production, you need to type here a domain. For example, if it's nametech.com, this way and all, and but now because it's at the testing, we are still coding. We will use what, the asterisk. Asterisk allow all hosts, and we are using the local host. So guys, this way it will give you this 404 error. So I guess you've understood how to create the 404 error template. Let me just go to the Django admin. So guys, basically we need to go to the Django admin and see what contents are there. So remember guys, that the Django admin is a great tool, and it is a CRUD. It is a CRUD. It follows the CRUD format. CRUD, that is create, read, update, and delete user interface on all the models that you have. So it comes with ready to use functionalities, so you'll not have to struggle a lot. So guys, basically at the moment when you have this page and you go to admin, you'll see the admin. So it is your local host and then admin. When you just type here admin, then it will take you to the Django administration page. Let me show you how you can access this admin section. It usually comes with Django. Now let me close everything once again. Now when you go to the name tag and then to URLs, you see that there's this admin part here, this admin. So with this admin, this is where you can access the admin interface for Django. Let me show you how you can create a super user and access this admin interface. So guys, basically to create a super user, just go to your terminal, break first of all if it's running, a Control+C, and then here say pi manage.py, and then let's say create, use this command, create super user, create super should be super user, create super user, and then here you can give it you can create a username. For example, let's say Wekesa. Let me just call it Wekesa, and then the email address you can leave it blank. Is it possible? Username Wekesa, then email address we can say, for example, let me just use, for example, test@gmail.com. test@gmail.com. Of course, this one is not real. And then a password, let me just use 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. And then you can type it again 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. But for you, ensure that you use exact things. Remember, this one is an open source, that's why I'm using password. I'm showing the password that I'm using here. It's an open source, it's not my password. But for you, ensure that you use very good password. Then you can see you can see now this password is too common. This password is entirely numeric. So can we bypass the let me try again. Let me say no, and then I'll try again. So password, let me say for example 1 2 3 4 test. 1 2 3 4, then a test, and then Superuser created successfully. So let me go to Chrome. To Chrome here, actually to this browser. Then it was Wekesa, right? It was Wekesa, and then the password was what? The password was 1 2 3 4 test. Then let's try to log in. Let's try to log in, and then oh guys, basically we should have started the server. I forgot. We should always run the server for it to work. And then let's try to refresh. And then guys, now you can see now you have an interface. Guys, we need to register this module, so this app, this member model to the app, actually to the admin, so that you can access on the other end. So guys, how do you register? To register, just go to to the members, and then there's a file called admin.py here, admins.py. So guys, basically this is how you can register. This is where you can register. First of all, we need to import the model. So let me say from the same directory, which is member member, then models import what? We import that member model, a member. So how do you use it? So to register, you just say admin.site.register register like that, and then I type here the name of the model. It is member, sorry, it should be member like that. Then you'll have registered that model. So what I'll do, guys, let me just again go to now, guys. Basically you can see now we have this the member model here. So we have the member. When you click on the member, you can see we have the list of members here. You can select an item and then modify it and do anything with it. So guys, basically now you can see it is displaying object number 5 1 and so forth. So we can change the display, right? So we can change the display here so that it may display the names instead of this member object 4 5 and whatever. So guys, basically how do you do that? So we need to add here the str. We need to change the string representation function, which is str function of the member model, so that it can display the name instead of this member object. How do you do that? So we'll go to the model vs, and then to the models. Where is it? The models, and then here at the bottom on the same class, guys, I'll say div. We'll define here a function. Then I'll use the str function, the str function, but not super. So guys, basically let me first of all remove this stuff. Let me remove this one, and then I here close with a colon, Remember here the argument here you should pass here the self so that it may inherit from the member class. So here I'll say what I'll pass here. I'll say return. A return should be a string. So I'll say f, and then here I can pass here this if you want first name, you say not to use the braces. I'll say self dot first name, and then also let's add in for the last name. Here should be last name, right? Should be last name like this. And then so guys, basically let's try again and see. Let me refresh. And then guys, you can see now we no longer have that object number 1, number 2. We have now John Wekesa, and we don't have those objects. So this one is really nice. Now remember when we use that str function, this was not a Django feature. This is how to change the string representation of objects in Python. We discussed these stuffs in Python, right? So we can control the fields to display by specifying them in the list display property in the admin function as well, if you don't want to use that. So guys, basically in that case, so I will go to the admin.py file, admin.py if you want to do that. So you go to admin.py. Then guys, if you don't want to use that one, then you can definitely use it on this other end. So you create here a class. You create here a class. Then for example, member admin. Let's call it member admin. Then we can pass here admin. Sorry, should be admin. Admin.model. Model admin, and then model admin, and then we can as well list display. So let me say list display will assign here to what? For example, first name, and then last name, and then for instance joint date, right? Let me use a string here. Let me say joint underscore date, and then now here we'll pass here member. The member, now here this registration say member, then also comma, then member admin like this. So guys, remember you need to add in the member admin as an argument. So now we can as well let me try to modify here a bit. Let me remove this one. Let me make them a comment so that you can see how it looks like. So here let me refresh. And then guys, you can see now it is displaying super fine properly, and we don't have even this stuff, but it is displaying very professional. So guys, basically this is super nice. So guys, how do you update these stuffs? For example, if you want to edit, if you want to do what? So for example, if you want to edit John, you can select, then the action you can do it. So for example guys, if you want to edit this stuff, select John, and then do it. Here should be okay. I guess the name it wasn't okay, I guess, or a date format. So let me call it Vincent, and then let me save, and let me click on save. And then now guys, I will have Vincent. Okay, so then you can do the same on this one. Like this one, let me use something like Abigail. Then I can save, and then now the list here will be updated to Abigail. And then so the other one, let's say for example it is James, James, you can change the date, and here you can say, for example, James Smith, or whichever name, then I save. And then now guys, let me show you how you can delete. So here guys, I just select, for example, this name in case I want to delete. So just click here on delete. Then you can see now these are members. Are you sure you want to delete the members from this? Then you can say yes, I'm sure. And then guys, you will have deleted that part. Now we no longer have Nehemiah. So guys, you can see it is super nice. How do you add members? To add members, guys, you can see here at the top, there's an option to add members. For example, if I want to return that Nehemiah thing, you can just say, for example, let's say, let me call it Nehemiah. Nehemiah, maybe Nehemiah what? Nehemiah Lubanga. Date, for example, let's give it date 2. Then a join date, let's give it whichever date here. The format was the year, maybe 2020. Which date? Let's say 12. And then whichever it is. Then let's save. And then so guys, you can see now we have that thing. James, you can see was it Nehemiah Lubanga? You can see the date that he joined. So you can see this how you can add the members, and of course you can you understand how you can edit, right? Because I assume that when you learn Django, you already have some skills in Python, so you understand how to make a comment. For Django, it is a comment, parenthesis. Sorry, it is a parenthesis. Not really parenthesis, curly braces, percentage, then a comment, then an end comment, then your comment will go here. So guys, this is how you define comments in Django. Now I want to handle something really important here. I want to handle something that I guess it's super. But there's something also that perhaps I can show you how you can include elements. So for example, let me create another template. So I've shown you how you can extend the elements, right? I've shown you how you can extend the elements, but I want to show you also how you can include the elements. So these templates, I'm gonna create another one, like let me just call it form. Form.html, and then here I'll use just a standard HTML, and then here I'll say, for example, let me just say something like let me use the input types are gonna be text, placeholder. Placeholder can be maybe this is, let me call it, let me say this is a placeholder, placeholder, or whichever thing you want. I just want to show you how you can extend. For example, if you have the entire forms, or you have a section that you want to include in other pages other than typing. So for example, guys, if you have this form, if you want to extend it to other section, you can just say, for example, when you go to the index, you can just add here, you can just say extends where after maybe this end for, let me just add it here at the end. Then I guess here I can say, for example, extend. So let me just change it to Django. It's in Django already, so let me just say include, not extend, should be include. Then you use the template that you want to include. Remember, it should be inside the 2 quotes, you know. So here I can say, for example, the form is the template is form.html. So now when I'll go to that index file, I think it was, this index was what, for members, right? This was for the members list. So let me just, I think you have understood the admin, right? You have understood the admin. So the function of the admin, it works on the CRUD, you know, functionality. So now here, guys, I can see, let me go to the members, and then I guess you can see we have included that member, and we said this is a placeholder. So other than, so you can see this one we can extend to other section. So for example, let me go to details, member details, and then guys, you can see we no longer have like unlike the extents which added everything, but now for include, this just include the templates that you want to use, you know. So this is, I think, the purpose of the include. Now basically the difference with the between the extents and the include, so the extent extends the master template to other templates, like if you have something that is common in all pages, other than repeating the same stuffs all over again, so the extent provides you with a way on how you can create just a master template, then includes it in other template or in other HTML other pages. But now with the include, this one you can have something that perhaps maybe let's say you have a form, or maybe you have something that you want it to appear in some pages, not all pages, just some pages. So what you do is just create a particular template, for example for form, or you can have maybe something like for example for contacts, you want to include contacts on all pages or something like that. So basically just create that template, then I use the include, use just the include, then the template name form.html, then it will be included. So guys, I guess you have understood that one. Now guys, basically I want us to tackle the static, right? I want us to tackle the static and also discuss on how we can style these stuffs in details. So guys, basically the static, with the static folder, this is where you can place your files like the CSS or JavaScript or even images. So like no, let me close everything first of all, minimize here, and then here the member we can create. You can see we have static folder here, and then here we have the CSS. You can add in the JavaScript, but now I want to add in the image. So let me just go to the internet and then get some image. Let me get an image. So let me just search for boy image, and then let me just choose any image. This cute seems nice. Guys, this one is super nice. This boy is cool. Let me just save this boy as, and let me save it at the documents, Django course, then to the member app, then to the static, then let me just give it, perhaps let me just call it boy.jpg. Now so guys, how do you use that folder? First of all, here at the top you should have loaded. So for example, if it were, where are we for home, which template handles the form? I think it is main. Yeah, main handles the form. So guys, if you want to use that image, you have to load first of all the static here at the top, and if you want to use that image, so you have to say, for example, let's say boy. Let me just say, you remember the tags to handle the img tags. So the tag is just img. Let me change here to html img, and then now guys, basically here you have to use what, here you have to load the static, then at 2%, and then here you say static, and then here you specify the name, the file name. So the file name is boy, it's boy.jpg, boy.jpg. I guess you can add in the alternative names like here you can say boy. And so guys, basically you can see now we have displayed this image, and by the way guys, a good practice when you are coding, ensure that the debugger, I think we didn't change. I think we should go to the settings. Remember the settings at to your project. Then I should always set it to true. Debug, you should always set it to true, and then here should be an empty list, so that I think you may not have a lot of issues. Let's try and refresh. So it's working. Let's try admin. Yeah guys, basically I see now admin is working. So I guess the other previously it wasn't working because we had not even configured that part. You should always set the debug to true while it is in a production state. Actually, when it is actually not production, when you are coding developing. So like now you can see members. You can display the members items here. Like you can see here, we have this content here. You can add in the member. It is super nice, right? So like you can say, for example, Vincent, whichever date you want to add a phone number, like you can say whichever number it is, and then here you can display. Of course, you can as well use this item, and then you can save. So this one is super nice guys, and I was wondering why was it not working previously. I had and configured the nini. This part, and you should always set configure the debug here. You should always set it to true while you are still coding on the local host. But when it is in production, you should always set it to what? To false. You should always set it to false, and then you specify the host. Like the domain name, you have to type here the domain name while it is in production. So guys, basically you can see now things are really working pretty fine. Let's get back even to the admin. Then now let's try. So guys, basically this is how you can use the statics. You add the image here, the static folder, and then guys, you can use it freely. So here we should use a main also, not styles. You should use main.css for CSS to work. And then now guys, you can see now the CSS is working super fine. This is all about Django. Of course, you have other minor stuffs that you can handle. Of course, you have other modules that you can integrate. You can install external frameworks, modules, APIs, and all that. But this one I just wanted to make you understand Django and how Django works and how you can use it, how to configure the view function, the URL patterns, the models. But guys, I think up to this point you've understood every concept behind Django, and I really appreciate you very much for your precious time. Up next we shall begin developing things, and you will understand Django more in details. But in a nutshell, this is all about Django, and I really appreciate you very much for learning Django. And I guess at this juncture, your level of understanding Django has grown top notch. So guys, I really thank you so much, and please, if you find that the course has been of help, please consider subscribing, like and share the video to your friends. Until next time, this is Nehemiah. Goodbye. Thank you.